Emilia Perez. A notorious Mexican cartel boss seeks the help of an unknown but brilliant liar, not for legal loopholes or shady deals, but for something far more personal: a gender transition, a fresh start, a retirement planned like no other. Emilia Perez, possibly one of the most debated films of the year, a film that stormed the Golden Globes, securing 4 awards, including Best Musical or Comedy and Best Foreign Language Film. But for every accolade, there's a wave of criticism. Some hail it as a groundbreaking piece of cinema. Others argue it's one of the most underdeserving winners in recent history.
Bingo.
So which is it? A revolutionary musical that earns its place in history? Or a misfire destined to be remembered for all the wrong reasons? First, let's talk about the film's core identity. It's a musical, and with a musical come certain expectations. Memorable songs, lyrics that stick with you long after the credits roll, melodies that weave seamlessly into the storytelling. That's the gold standard, but here's where Emilia Perez stumbles. Not a single track stands out. The songs fail to elevate the narrative or resonate emotionally. They feel forced, out of place, and worst of all, forgettable. And when a musical's own music doesn't work, what's left? Think of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes by Howard Hawks, a film that delivers spectacle, energy, and musical moments that stand the test of time. Now, compare that to Emilia Perez. It's a stark contrast, the kind that makes you ask, why was this film even a musical in the first place? Who wrote these songs? And why do so many actors sound like they shouldn't be singing at all? The fundamental choice behind Emilia Perez was flawed from the start. Sure, the musical sequences are well directed, and the choreography is competent. But when the songs themselves are shallow and grating, what's left? Dialogues that could have been spoken naturally are instead forced into tunes that add no value. The result? A film that feels disjointed, like an orc from The Lord of the Rings, a patchwork creature, neither here nor there. It's as if a serious drama awkwardly shape-shifted into a musical and back again, never fully committing to either. The emotional weight of the protagonist's journey, her struggles, her transformation, loses impact. The film jumps from musical to drama, from drama to action, never quite finding its footing. Just like its lead character, it fails to grasp that transformation comes with consequences. This inconsistency spills into character development. Emilia Perez doesn't have a sprawling cast, yet the few characters it does have remained underwritten. Even the core themes the film sets out to explore feel barely scratched. But is Emilia Perez a bad film? Not necessarily. It's an ambitious, but ultimately flawed attempt to merge different cinematic styles. And with 13 Oscar nominations, it has a solid shot at taking home at least one. Let's just hope it's not the best picture. To put things into perspective, let's take a look at other films in history that have also landed 13 nominations at the Academy Awards. Gone with the Wind, 13 nominations, won 8 Oscars. Forrest Gump, 13 nominations, won 6 Oscars. The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 13 nominations, won 4 Oscars. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 13 nominations, won 3 Oscars. Next up, Anora, a film that, despite the simple premise, has found more favor with audiences. But does the story's simplicity work in its favor, or does it drag down the final product? Anora follows the story of a stripper who, in the first 40 minutes of the film, falls in love, experiences passion, and gets married, all in the blink of an eye. The events unfold at breakneck speed, like a slideshow, flipping too fast for the audiences to fully grasp. This whirlwind narrative is the film's first flaw. Despite covering a broader timeline, the early section drags, leaving the audience enduring a marathon of exaggerated moments. A film like this could have learned something from Sean Baker's earlier works, where every moment feels deliberate, character-driven, and deeply felt. Unlike Baker's earlier works, Anora feels like it's stretching time unnecessarily. Instead of feeling rich, the first act feels like a forced endurance test, where pacing finds its rhythm, blending comedy and action in a way that feels fresh. The narrative begins to find its flow, and for a brief moment, the film becomes enjoyable. However, here lies the second flaw: repetition. The second part devolves into a never-ending loop of effort to save or sabotage the protagonist's marriage. and because it occupies so much of the film's runtime, the repetition becomes tiring. And yet, amid all this repetition, Anora still shines in one area: the incredible chemistry between the four main characters, their back and forth banter, filled with anger and profanity. It's genuinely hilarious, even if it doesn't really push the story forward. It's a mix of humor and tension, where nothing really progresses in the plot, but the interactions between these characters keep us entertained, just barely holding our attention amidst the repetitive nature of the film. But the real issue with Anora lies in its supporting characters. Aside from the titular Anora herself, everyone else seems trapped in a single trait. These characters are written with a set of predefined qualities, and every decision they make revolves around those traits. As a result, they feel one-dimensional, stuck in a loop without any real growth or decline. Take Iwan, for example. His behavior is so exaggeratedly immature that his repetitive, illogical decisions make him feel more like a caricature than a real person. In no universe does his character ring true. It's hard to believe someone like him could exist in a real-world context. The writing leaves no room for him to revolve, no subtlety in his actions. He's more a walking plot device than a character with substance. Perhaps it's fair to say that Sean Baker has a more nuanced approach when it comes to character portrayal. In quieter moments, when the story pauses and nothing major is unfolding, Baker's camera focuses on Igor, shifting attention to him in ways that feel both deliberate and intimate. It's as if Baker wants us to step into Igor's shoes, to see through his eyes, rather than reducing him to a mere supporting character. He becomes a vessel of empathy, a figure of support for someone in need, like a textbook protector. But it's not just about fulfilling a role, it's about understanding the complexity of his position, his humanity. In this way, Baker crafts a more compassionate portrayal, elevating Igor beyond mere plot mechanics and giving him emotional weight, something Anora doesn't quite achieve with his own supporting characters. And as for Anora, while it might not be a failure, it's hardly groundbreaking. With a year filled with few standout films, it stands a chance at making waves during the Oscars. Sure, it has earned accolades in various festivals, even winning the prestigious Palme d'Or at Cannes, but in the grand scheme of cinema, it's unlikely to leave a lasting legacy, at least not for what it truly is. It's a good movie, not just a great one. And when we look back at this year in film, Anora might be just another forgettable title, held up only by the weight of its brief moment in the limelight. The final film on our list is Conclave, a gripping, cerebral drama set against the backdrop of an unexpected death. The current pope dies suddenly, and the task of selecting the next leader of the Catholic Church falls upon the cardinals. This is one of the more serious films to come out of Hollywood in recent years, a work that echoes the spirit of classic Hollywood cinema. It evokes memories of 12 Angry Men, a film driven by powerful dialogue and the weight of deciding a person's fate, or in this case, the next leader of the Christian world. The film is packed with seasoned performances from seasoned actors, particularly Ralph Fiennes, who delivers a solid portrayal of the character at the heart of the story. He plays the leader of the conclave, someone filled with doubt, reluctant to bear the weight of the decision, questioning not only his own role, but his faith itself. It's a character with enormous potential, yet one that, like the rest of the film, never quite reaches the depth it could have. Fiennes captures the internal struggles well, but the script doesn't quite allow his character to unfold fully. As for the cardinals, men of God, expected to be pure and innocent, they're not above the political games and scheming that define human nature. They use every trick in the book to try to eliminate rivals, resulting in a tense, high-stakes battle for power. The tension is palpable, and while the themes of power, religion, and politics are heavy, the film strikes a delicate balance. It avoids the pitfall of overindulgence, instead offering a pace that keeps the audience engaged, even during its 2-hour runtime. Recent years have seen a surge in films and shows focusing on the papacy and the church, the young pope and the new pope by Paolo Sorrentino, the two popes, and even 2 recent horror films, Immaculate and The First Omen, both released this year. These films all explore similar themes, each taking its own angle on the complex institution that is the Catholic Church, but Conclave stands apart, delivering its intense drama with a touch of classic restraint, A film that, despite its flaws, remains a compelling meditation on power, faith, and a very human desire for control. Despite its compelling premise, Conclave is, at its core, a film with a somewhat predictable narrative. The rise of Cardinal Lawrence, the eventual election of Cardinal Benitez. These are developments that don't come as a surprise, but that doesn't necessarily make the film any less gripping. The suspense of the voting process, each vote, each tense glance exchanged, remains one of the film's strong suits, bringing a palpable sense of anxiety and uncertainty. Then, the twist at the end, a turn of events that promises to shake things up, but unfortunately the film doesn't fully delve into it. While the church's ideological struggle between progress and tradition is hinted at, it never quite addresses it as deeply as one would hope. The narrative stumbles here, failing to fully convince the audience of the significance of the shift. One of my favorite motives in the film is Cardinal Lawrence's comparison of the church to the turtle in the garden, old, wise creatures that slip away at every opportunity, a motif he references multiple times. In the end, he returns the turtle to its home, symbolizing the restoration of order to the church. The film's cinematography is one of its strongest points, with beautiful framing and a rich color palette that enhances the solemn atmosphere. It's no surprise that Conclave has earned 8 Oscar nominations. There's a good chance the film will take home at least one, perhaps for its film editing or its production design. Director Edward Berger has proven his skill with All Quiet on the Western Front, and Conclave is further proof of his ability to tackle ambitious projects. With Conclave, Berger has once again shown that he is a director to watch, someone capable of crafting visually rich, thought-provoking narratives. So, what do you think? Are these films deserving of their accolades, or do they fall short of the hype? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Thanks for watching.